Hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to your Akashic Charm reading. I'm very excited to facilitate this for you and see what magic comes out of it. So, and through your connection, through my connection, all that good stuff. So, like anything, definitely always take what resonates, leave the rest, but also leave space for your, for that to grow, for that to ebb and flow, for that to kind of change and shift. Because sometimes things align now that will or won't later, and so on and so forth. Because as we shift our consciousness and grow and all of um, the things that resonate will also shift. And some of that too is remembering that healing is cyclic. And so there may be messages that are meant for your deeper layers of healing when it kind of comes back around and it's in a different way. That whole thing where it's like, oh, I already healed that. Why is it back? That kind of thing. So sometimes that might be a seed that's, or, sometimes things can be seeds that are planted for further down the line, things like that. Because what I personally tap into is, yes, the now energy, but also the energy of what's going to serve you in the long run. So some of those things may or may not be like, um, how do I want to say that? Some of those things may or may not feel the best. Like sometimes, like just for the sake of this experience, this example, it's kind of like when you hear something about, I don't know, forgiveness or something that like triggers you in your now moment because of where you're at emotionally with that. But it's still like an ultimate truth that will eventually be a guiding post for you, or even maybe is a guiding post for you at this time that you don't necessarily want it to be or like it to be, but it's still relevant. You know what I mean? So just different things like that. Because when I create anything that I do, but inclusive of these sessions, I also want to make sure that they can serve you for a long time. And so, um, that's just kind of a part of the intention. So I hope that that all makes sense. Know that I will be speaking out of my personal experience about many different things because that's the way that I know best to explain them. So I do my best to not give a bunch of unnecessary information, but sometimes I just get involved with the experience and I might find something important that you may or may not find as important. So, there's all of that. I've had some interesting experiences lately where I'm finding that not everyone innately knows that. Like the idea of me sharing something, but you taking the overall message and the information of that and applying it to your own life, to your own situations and things like that. So I felt like it should be something that I probably say. Um, But ultimately, like, isn't that kind of the best place to be coming from is through your own personal experience so you can explain in like metaphor and in story and things like that. So that's at least what I've come to find to be a great way to share and explain and whatnot. 'Cause I don't know, sometimes like if you're thinking at the or you're thinking of like the overall topic and that's great and everything, but then when you can have someone share their tangible, more so tangible experiences of that and how they navigated that, like I think there's magic in that and that feels um really aligned and stuff. So anyway, just wanted to say that. Um you already know that part, the coughing, sneezing, burping stuff. Now it's all about moving energy versus me just doing that a lot during calls. I'm already moving stuff and I haven't even done anything. It's funny. Because I previously like tapped in and everything before actually recording, so that's a part of that. But anyway, as uh uh to me this is obvious, but I'm not like a medical professional in any way, shape, or form. All of this is for your own interpretation, your own growth, all that good stuff. Um, and then I don't know what you do and don't know about the actual session itself, so I'll explain a little bit of that. So I have created this pumpkin map. It's seasonal, so I'm going to be making a winter one too, and then I'll be growing these to be more actual session that's available. But this map is for the autumn season, and it has two of each symbol. Most of the symbols are the same, but there are two that are a little bit different. One is the spirit animal symbol. So I had a cat and a bat come through, and I couldn't choose between the two. Turns out that there was good reason for that because there's been really specific things that come through either one. And then there are two brooms. One has an arrow pointing toward the left, which is the feminine, the receiving, our ability to receive, our capacity to receive, the past, different things like that. And then the other broom has an arrow pointing towards the right, which is the future, things we're moving toward, the masculine, letting go, giving, receiving, giving, that kind of thing. So, like receiving from the other broom and then giving for the second broom. So, anyway, also the pumpkin map is in the shape of a pumpkin, as you saw, but there's also pumpkin symbols on the inside of the map, so I did want to mention that. And then there are, excuse me, there's a charm that's a moon, and there's symbols on the map that are moons. Very similar meanings, however, the charm has an extra meaning that I'll get to once we get to that point, but just wanted to let you know, and that is pretty much it. So there's 9 charms. It's a completion year, and I felt like it was very appropriate to do 9 charms. And each of the charms have meanings, each of the symbols have meanings, and depending on where they land, the story is formed. And so, on that note, I've got all of the beautiful charms here. Go ahead and shake them up for beautiful crystal rule. Okay, there's one of them that didn't go in a specific spot, so okay, great. Oh, that's so interesting. Before I do anything, I gotta take a picture of it in case I bump it. Plus, that way you get to look at it. Because as you will have seen, I have sent you a picture of your map. That way you can look at it at the same time as I'm reading it. So, the interesting thing that I just said right before I took the picture is one of your charms landed on top of another charm. Like it's in spots, but it's also in another charm or on another charm. And that has been happening the last two or like 3, maybe 4 readings. I don't know. And it's just very random. It's a new thing. And so it's just kind of interesting how that's happening. And it's always a different charm. I shouldn't say always, but it's usually been a different charm. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. I always just like to make sure there's actually 9 there. Because there's 2 of them that are a bit smaller, so I just want to make sure. So let's see, where are we starting? Excuse me. I'm trying to, which one is the one that's standing out? Okay, I had a little resistance to starting with that one. That was my own thing. Because it felt like more of a last or toward the end one, but it's the one that's standing out the most. So we're going to start with the dragonfly wings, which are at the top left, and they are in technically 2 spots, but they are on the line of another one that I'm feeling guided to bring forward, and it's just that I wanted to touch it just a little bit. Sometimes when something lands on the line, I'm guided not to dive into it, but sometimes I am. So I just trust whatever that is. I don't put like a stringent line on that. So the dragonfly wings are all about, of course, flying toward or away from something, but it's about transformation and freedom. And yours have landed in not only the web, but the kitty cat um, animal spirit guide. So the animal spirit guide, is self-explainable in what it is. It's bringing forward the energy of the kitty cats. And I'll dive into that more as well. But they want me to touch on the web first. And the one that it's also on the line of is the tree. So I'll incorporate that in a little bit too. But the web is all about a couple of different things. And depending on where this flows, I'll have more context. But it's about web of connection. And then it's also about getting caught up in stuff like, sticky web, getting caught up. I just saw Lord of the Rings when Frodo is like stuck in the webs um, in the forest. And then also in The Hobbit, if you've seen that with Bilbo. Yeah, Bilbo getting caught in the web. So, but the one that was actually shown was Frodo when he was going through that. So anyway, um, with your wings being caught up there, it's really interesting. And I'm seeing actually to take this two different ways. So with the web of connection, it's saying that it's, at least a facet of your freedom and transformation is through your web of connection, which, I mean, it makes sense because, being connected into the loving communities that we share, and then of course, externally within your own life, um, there's so much magic in those connections. And it's in relationship that we learn about ourselves because everyone outside of us is a mirror. And so with everyone outside of us being a mirror of ourselves, we get to see ourselves more clearly. It gets a little confusing sometimes, that's for sure. But generally speaking, your freedom and transformation lies in the um, clarity that comes through that web of connection. Yeah. So that one's cool. And then the other side that I'm seeing is that some of your freedom and transformation is caught up in those sticky webs. And it's like there's this resistance to move forward, but it's also feeling like you're being pulled uh, backward, whether that be into old habits, old ways of being, old paradigms that just don't serve you anymore. There's, lots of different ways to look at that too. Um, sorry. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't my dog clients because I still own the dog daycare and boarding here. And it's the day before Thanksgiving, so they might be picking up early. So sorry if you happen to hear my phone go off at all. I'll actually turn it on. Well, actually, no, I can't do that. So I'll just make sure it's down as much as I can because I just need to hear if they are coming to get the dog. So again, apologies ahead of time because unfortunately I can't turn on Do Not Disturb and make it so they can text. It doesn't, there's complications with it, I promise. Or else I would do it. So, because sisters might be going nuts with their texting here momentarily. You know what? I'm just gonna turn it on vibrate and I should hopefully still hear that. Okay. Sorry. I'm back. Probably should have just paused it instead of rumble. Man, I was gonna say rumbling, but babbling and rambling came. Rambling works. Anyway, going back with your web here, getting caught up in sticky stuff. So what it feels like, resistance is honestly like the biggest part with that. But it's not even just resistance, it's perception that's leading to resistance. It's like, so it's been a while since we chatted, so I don't know exactly where you're at right now and everything, but what I'm seeing is it's these self-conceptions and perception, not only, okay, perception of self, but it expands outward too. So it's not just your like self-concept. It's not just how you perceive yourself. It's other things too. But the same time, if everything outside of us is a mirror, and this can be inclusive of things other than people, because our external is a representation of the internal. So what does that say to you? You know, like how is that coming forward for you? How does that feel? Does it resonate? And so just diving a bit more into the self-concept here, what I'm seeing is that there are some old beliefs that were a part of your foundation, a part of your subconscious, um, the projections that you received growing up, you know, different things like that. And maybe even later in life, adding to those things as well, because, you know, if we're still operating within a particular mindset that is uh, less than worthy of your light, then there will be confirmation biases that happen to affirm those ways of being to keep you safe, to keep your ego safe, things like that. But in reality, you are much stronger than any of these beliefs, and it's a part of your own self-interest, best interest, to really reflect on these self-concepts in regard for you to see yourself more clearly. And so, like, a way that I'm seeing that is there's somebody or some people, things that are around you that are going on that you're experiencing, you know, things like that, um, that are showing you you. And they could be there's okay, so how I'm seeing this is they could be showing you you in different ways. Sometimes it's showing you you through things that you don't want. And by you understanding yourself that, hey, I don't want this, it's giving you the opportunity to shift into something that you do want. Or if you're experiencing something that you do want outside of like that, that's being mirrored to you, then it's great confirmation to continue that, to bring an abundance mindset to that thing or things like it and whatnot. Um, so there's that. Sorry, my eye feels weird. Um, okay, wait, why does my eye feel weird? Heal Your Body A to Z by Louise Hay. Sorry, oh, that's one of the seriously camera. I got an external camera and sometimes it has a mind of its own, so apologies ahead of time. Um, okay, eyes. Oh man, there's a lot of eye stuff. Okay, eyes represents capacity to see clearly. Well, isn't that what we're talking about? Past, present, and future. Oh, that's funny. I just learned something about myself. I was just seeing if any of these specific eye things were related to what I was just experiencing, but no. Okay. Um, do you have astigmatism? If not, then ignore this, but it's just coming forward because, well, for me, because I experience astigmatism. But in case you do, what it says, in case you're curious, is I trouble, like I, me, myself, and I trouble, which is hilarious. Fear of really seeing the self. Interesting. So that's why I said it might have been just for me, but I had never looked up eye stuff before, so but anyway, the overall message is still there where it's like, um, what exactly did I read? Sorry. I'm glad that I turned my sound off because spam alert. Not liking what you see in your own life. Okay, that's the basic thing. So that doesn't mean all inclusive, of course, so you don't like any of your life. It's just saying that there are things in your life that you don't like. And with it being my left eye, it makes me feel like it's the past and somehow related to the past, which is really interesting because you have four charms in the broom that has the arrow pointing toward the past. So there's something interesting there. Um, but I'm going to come back to the dragonfly and the kitty cat. So with it being in the kitty cat, that's just indicative that some of your freedom and transformation also lies in your connection to um, cats. Um, the energy of cats. Like I know you have dogs, and I don't know if you have cats, but I don't know what your relationship with cats are. But the energetic um, beauty that they bring in for you. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but one of the things that I'm seeing is they are very connected to the spiritual realm. They are our earthly protectors um of and within the spiritual realm. You know, they which is funny because obviously some of them don't necessarily seem that way, but just generally speaking here. And what's great too is they can really help with the third eye and crown. Seeing it mostly third eye, but the crown's right there too, so you know it can benefit. But very much the third eye, and in ways also grounding because like their purr, can be very grounding, very anchoring, very healing, and so there's some heart healing in that too. So just really bringing that forward and just leaving it open in case anything else wants to come through. And the line that the dragonfly is on is one of the trees. Oh, excuse me. And the tree is all about nature, healing, and adventure. And so we're kind of starting to bring in the inner child there a bit. Your freedom transformation lies within adventure, within nature, and um, within healing. I was trying to remember what the other thing was. Um, which I know that you definitely, at least last I talked to you, you're still uh being a bit nomadic with your um I don't remember like what kind of vehicle you have. I know it was a bigger one, but yeah, so and the I'm going off of what I remember and also um have seen pictures like that Gentry posted when you visited and stuff like that. And I know that you love nature. I know that you love going outside and doing stuff. And so, um, it's just again highlighting how innately healing nature is, how potent it is. And I was just shown the waterfall that we talked about in one of your last sessions. So there's that too. I'm very curious to see if anything, ever came of that, for you in your experience. Um, so where are we going next? I'm processing a lot, apparently. So the star charm is all about stardom. You are a star at this thing, a hidden gift or talent that you're a star at. Wish upon a shooting star, star quality, things like that. And your star is mostly in the kitty cat. So again, highlighting the importance of your connection to what the animal spirit guides of cats have to bring forward for you, which I'll tap into a bit throughout the session. But but it's also in the moon symbol. And the moon symbol is about emotions, about being present for emotions, connected to them, allowing them to be what they are, under and understanding that they are communication. So with that, emotional regulation, emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, things like that. And okay, yeah, that's all they want me to bring up right now. So bringing the star in with this, again, highlighting that cat connection, but really highlighting just how important it is to be present for your emotions, to give them the space that they need to communicate with you, and understanding that whatever you attach to them whether it be story, different meanings, different things like that, that they aren't the enemy. And I'm not saying that you actually feel that way, but there's parts within you that might feel that way. And the phrasing may or may not resonate, but there's something in there about not fully expressing yourself. And I'm seeing the dragonfly and the web getting highlighted here. And so some of that is connected to that as well, where there's this disconnection with allowing your emotions to be what they are without attaching different things to them. And there's some stickiness there. So there's that. The key charm is all about unlocking stuff that you're ready to unlock. Could be lots of things. So every time that I have brought forward the key, it has, or what I've been shown is it is a closed door with a key in the keyhole ready to be turned and opened. And that's all you got to do. Um, so your key charm. Okay, sorry, I was just making sure because my sisters are going crazy. I'm like, so the key is in three spots. The kitty cat, and in the kitty cat, it's actually like leaning on top of the star charm, and that's the one that crossed over that, or not crossed over, that overlaid, which that I was talking about early on. Um, Apparently I'm not meant to talk about that yet. So your key, like I said, is in the kitty cat. I'm bringing that in again. It's also in the moon. So again, unlocking things with your emotional connection here. And it's also in the past, which it's in the broom that has the arrow pointing toward the past to the left, bringing in the feminine, bringing in your receptivity, your ability to receive, capacity to receive, and how in those three things, there's a lot of things that are unlocking. And so with okay, now it's coming through with the key charm that's kind of on top of the star charm, the overlap, it's amplifying the connection between those two charms and how they are coming forward for you at this time. So the, excuse me, processing. The key, or actually, let me say it the other way, the star is amplifying the key. It's amplifying the importance of the key and amplifying the importance of not only your kitty cat connection, but your emotional connection to self, to other. Um, the more that you understand yourself, the whole know thyself thing, the more you understand other. Um, Again, still coming from your perception, so it's not going to be fully inclusive of theirs, but you can at least be more aware and more tuned in those ways. And this will all help you unlock more of your freedom, unlock more of your transformation, and then also allowing you to amplify in the gifts that you have that you may or may not fully value. Oh man, my eye. It's again just coming in hardcore here. Um, so anyway, there's that. But it's activating that. It's bringing that forward for you to see more clearly. Um, and so what have your emotions been telling you lately that you have or haven't been listening to? Oh my goodness. How are they connecting into your past, into your childhood, into your teenage years, into your young adulthood, and so on, you know? How have they been communicating with you and how have you been receiving that communication? Have you been allowing it to show you things? Have you been allowing it to actually connect with you, or have you been pushing them aside? Or is it a mix? Because we're human and it's usually a mix. But ultimately, what is your overall relationship with that like? Um, and how does that show up? So they're wanting me to move to the Pentacle charm, which is representative. It's a 5-point star, and so it's bringing in all of the elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, ether, whichever word you prefer. And that's really bringing in this anchoring within the elements, how we connect to them, how we work with them, how we utilize them, and our recognition that they are us, we are them, and that they comprise so much of everything. Um, Also, we've got the circle that's around the star, and that's bringing in unity, community, connection, abundance, the circle of life, and yeah, and in all of this, it's bringing in a groundedness, a bit of a reality check in the sense of remembering that, hey, yeah, we're these beautiful, amazing, eternal love and light beings, but that eternal love and light being chose to be here. So take advantage of the opportunity, investigate and explore why. And it's not so much about, diving into the things that won't, that's kind of okay, they want me to phrase it this way, even though it feels kind of funny, but I'll just let it flow through the way that it wants to. I'll, focusing on the things that are actually important to you, focusing on your values, recognizing what they even are. And I know like this year is very much it's a completion year, and it's very very aligned for many of us, if not all of us, to reflect on what our values actually are and if we're actually living through them. And this is not like a judgment call or like a place to come from judgment. Generally, I will never say that it's a place to judge, but observation, judgment-free observation. Um, and just noticing, just recognizing, is where you're coming from actually fully aligned with where you're wanting to be, wanting to go, wanting to grow. So your pentacle is in two spaces, the broom that has the arrow pointing toward the left, and the salt bath, or I guess my picture looks like a bubble bath, but um, the point is it's about rest, relaxation, and rejuvenation. And we, as a society, in the collective, don't really value that nearly as much as we should. There are, of course, people that do. There are, of course, beings that do. I certainly do, and I know you probably do in your own way. However, it can be even more. And so, one of the things that's really been coming through for this rest, relaxation, rejuvenation piece has been recognizing where you're actually at with that and being brutally, radically honest with yourself. And so having your ego take a seat, having your mental body take a seat, and really just being present with what is your experience. And so if that looks like taking a few minutes to write down your definitions of rest, relaxation, rejuvenation. And I remember you saying that you have difficulty with that. So maybe doing a walk and talk about that instead, that might be more serving for you. Um, but your experience of rest, your definition of rest, your experience and definition of relaxation and rejuvenation. And I know that there may be some overlap between those things, but they are different. And so really just holding space for the differences and how those differences are being experienced and how they can be experienced in a way that's more aligned for you. And so tapping into that's going to be really helpful. And then, after you sit with that for a minute, allowing the divine definitions, like coming through your Akash or whatever, of what that can look like. And okay, I was going to see if they wanted me to dive into that and what that could look like, but they don't want to. They don't want me to because they don't want what I have to say and what the guardians are going to be saying through me to impact your current relationship with those things so that you can actually um so you cannot be influenced by that, and so you can be coming from the true reality that you are experiencing in regard to those things. And then also reflect on, as you're doing this, what your past has been like with those things, rest, rejuvenation, relaxation. Um, because that is in ways framing what your relationship is like with it now, even if it is a positive thing, even if do have a really good relationship with it, it's important to reflect. It's important to see how far you have come. And so there's like lots of different levels to this and lots of different layers. And then also with the pentacle being the thing that landed on the salt bath, bubble bath, whatever. It's bringing through this idea of how can you implement the elements and into your rest, relaxation, rejuvenation. How can you play with that? How can you bring fire into your relaxation? How can you bring water forward, air, earth, the ether, spirit? How can you bring all of these pieces into your rest, rejuvenation, relaxation? Of course, going out in nature is an amazing one. Of course, the salt bath itself, amazing. There's lots of different things. And then also opening up your scope of what defines an element because, crystals. Crystals are comprised of everything's comprised of the elements, but crystals, yes, they are of the earth, so you could technically probably say, hey, it's all earth elements, but in reality, different crystals have different element potentialities, element connections. Like, for example, this labradorite, while yes, it is of the earth, of course, it has a higher vibrational quality, a higher connection to the upper chakras, where it's going to be also more so air or spirit element crystal. Um, so you can work with the elements in that way. Also connecting in with different animal guides, different animal spirits, like your kitty cat. There's the element of which one am I really being called toward? Very earthy, but it's also air and spirit because of its psychic connections, different things like that. Oh, one other thing I wanted to say too, the moon, um, I know it's coming in for a reason, so I'll just say it. The moon is also, of course, representative of the feminine, but it's also representative of water, the water element, and it also very much is connected to water and how the earth, um, the Earth's connection. Wait, how do I say that? The moon heavily impacts Earth's water. I'll say it that way. And in lots of different ways. And we are mostly water. So there's a lot of things with that. And the other thing that I'm seeing too is the rhythm. So the cyclic nature that elements bring forward, but our connection to the cyclic nature and remembering that, hey, we actually are especially as feminine, um, we're meant to be a lot more connected to Earth cycles, nature cycles than we usually are. And so it could really benefit you to connect in more with that cyclic nature and whatever that means for you. If that means dancing under the moon, if that means, doing a fire, um, what's the word I want? Ceremony of some sort, whatever that is, there's lots of different ways to do that. Um, like one of the things, and this is, just a thing to mention because they showed it to me. I do a monthly full moon, remote healing experience, and it's called Radiant Realignment, in case you're curious. But it's this awesome thing that I connect in with all of the higher selves that are coming forward to participate, and really bringing forward this a different way to work with the full moon. It's not so much working with the moon itself because there's lots of things that I could get into with that, and I don't necessarily want to be working with the moon the way that most people do. But what I'm doing is I'm working with the opportunity that the moon brings forward. And what that is during the full moon. Of course, it's a little bit energetically different each time because of where everything is at astrologically, astrologically and astrology, astronomy, those two things. Anyway, so yeah, it's a little bit different because of that, but generally speaking, the full moon is when it's the densest energy. It's when sleep can be heavily impacted, which therefore heavily impacts our emotions and our ability to be present for self. A lot of our cycles, like our period cycles and stuff, end up um, resonating with the moon cycles and different things like that, and syncing with the moon and whatnot. And so, there's lots of different things like that coming forward. Um, And then with the pentacle being in the broom that's facing toward the past and the feminine, um, and receiving, hmm, question just came in for you. Do you allow yourself to experience the magic that the elements do provide? Or is there like this, is that hers? Oh, okay. You may or may not have picked up on this because I don't know that I don't think it's coming from you in your like currentness. It feels like it's coming from a distant version of you, like a past life or something. Maybe even an inner child somewhere. I'm not getting clarity on where exactly it's coming from, but it's almost like there's this bit of guilt that comes forward in regard to allowing yourself to fully immerse yourself in nature, in the elements, and accepting their healing, their beauty, things like that. It's almost like there's this guilt to receive it. Yeah, I was just shown the webs that are kind of sticky around that too. So we'll just let that be what it is right now because I'm not feeling or I'm not hearing like to move forward with it yet. But I am being highlighted, or another charm is being highlighted though. So the moon charm is, of course, bringing in everything I said about the moon symbol, lots of emotional stuff, the feminine, but also it's about stop running away from and face this thing. And your, I guess a hiccup confirmation right there. Your moon charm is in two spaces. The broom with the arrow that is toward the past, toward the left, and the zombie, which is all about past lives. And so it's very intriguing that the moon charm that's bringing forward, of course, this emotional connection, this emotional awareness, all of that, but also bringing forward this idea of stop running away from and face these things that are from your past lives. Interesting. And so I'm actually being guided to bring up another charm first before diving deeper into that. So the sun charm is about shining a light on this thing, bringing warmth to this thing. It's also about the fire element. And I find it intriguing that we're talking about the moon and then the sun just immediately after. But the sun is in three spaces. One is the broom that's got the arrow to the left. It's also in and mostly in the ghosty, and the ghosty is about ancestors and loved ones that want to come forward to have a chit chat. And then it's also in the wolf that's howling toward the moon, and that's all about raising your voice. Very interesting. How is all of that connecting? Mm. So, your ancestors, your ancestral connection, and loved ones that have passed on. It's about having a light shone on them, a light shone on your past, a light shone on your voice. So, what I'm seeing here, and then stop running away from and face these past lives. What I'm seeing through this is really highlighting the voice that you have now and the voice that you didn't have before. It's highlighting the differences between the two because again, kind of recalling back to what I said earlier in regard to you noticing, where you've been and where you're at and where you're going. It's similar, but it's more concentrated on these things. And so really shining a light on your ancestral connection and those that came before you, quote unquote, that they, as the oneness that we are, we're all connected. And even if they are from a different soul, we're all one. And so the thing is remembering the things that they did and honoring those things in your own special ways. Some of those ways is by showing, like, hey, they were incredibly silenced in so many ways, so many traumatic ways, so many painful ways, etc. And you've had that in your own ways, of course, because who hasn't been silenced in some way, shape, or form? But the thing is, it's about you recognizing that you're not that same person anymore, whether it's that ancestor, whether it's that past lifetime, whether it's the little girl that you were. It's not, um, it's about recognizing that you are no longer in those spaces and that you have your own voice. And what are you doing with your voice and everything that that actually means? It's also not so much just about your external voice, but your internal voice. Are you listening to your internal voice, your internal communications, your inner self, your intuition, your soul voice, your higher self voice, how much do you listen? How much do you push it aside because it's inconvenient? How much do you invite it to come forward and actually be an active part of your life? Um, Again, as far as specifics, I'm just being pulled back to a couple of our sessions where there was a lot of, I would say mix, like from what I remember, a mix between resistance and, um, how do I want to phrase that? Not feeling like you're worthy or not feeling like you have stuff to offer, not feeling like you have gifts, different things like that. Not necessarily trusting where you're coming from and and not necessarily valuing your experience and thinking that others would also find it valuable. Um, And I mean that with all love, because you're so not alone. This year has been a whole freaking thing with all of that and more. Um, but again, this is shining a light on your ancestral connections and how you can move forward in ways that are going to be more supportive for not only yourself, but also, your connections with them and how they can help you, how you can help them, and then they can, be free of the things that have been inundating, parts of their soul essence since, um, the lifetimes that they have fragments of themselves trapped in. Um, and so there's a little bit of this energy of like, well, why and this again may not be you, maybe like part of your ego or another part of you that you may or may not see. There may be some denial around because this part isn't exactly something many people want to see. But this part that came forward is like, so they in their lifetimes, the ancestors and whatnot, so they didn't complete what they needed to complete in order to be completely free. So why is that my responsibility? Like, why does that fall on my shoulders? Things like that. And so, and again, this is just how I'm interpreting that emotion. It may come, or not even emotion, that energy. Um, and so it may come forward in a different way. Um, but the thing is that is wrapped up in shame and in uh some disappointment, disapproval. There's lots of different things that are coming in with that too. And this feels like it's activating another lifetime where, yep, okay, it's coming in more now. Okay, I understand it more. So it's coming in for a lot of different reasons, but one of which it's like this lifetime that you've experienced where in parts of you will probably resonate with this, but it's this lifetime where you decided to take on everyone's stuff. Excuse me, burp for confirmation. But in you doing this in this lifetime, it was very indicative of many things. One, lack of self-worth, lack of boundaries, lack of a backbone, lack of um, understanding, lack of the ability to see yourself fully, which is really interesting because I just reminded of the eye thing. Like that's what triggered that last one was I saw an eye. Or they reminded me of the the eye stuff I was going through. So with all of that, we're also bringing in the idea that you okay, there's like five different things that I'm seeing, sorry. So there's an element of quite a few different things. I'm taking on everyone's stuff for multiple purposes, and most of these weren't actually known when you were doing it. One is, well, they can't do it. They're not capable of it. I want to help them. I want to support them. And my way of supporting them is by taking this on as if it's my own and thinking this crazy thought that I can actually do anything about it or do anything with it. And so there's this really old built up resentment in regard to people taking responsibility for their stuff. And yeah, it feels like that triggered something. Um, and you're not alone there at all. Personally, I had a breakdown in regard to that not too long ago. Well, earlier this year, but I was in the space of being able to let it go. So I think that's a part of why it's coming in here because you're in that space of being able to let it go now. And so this is coming forward to assist you in recognizing the integrity of intention, the integrity of your connection to your intentions, and the integrity of understanding the depth of your connection, the depth of your intention. Because when we attempt to save somebody, it's not actually about them. There may be things that we think about them or whatever, but in reality, it's for a couple of different reasons, some of which I already said, but some of which is also because you don't want to look at your own stuff and it's easier to quote unquote fix someone else's issues than it is to look at our own. And so the thing is that in and of itself brings through a lot of clarity and understanding of like, oh, I just didn't want to focus on my own stuff in that lifetime. And that lifetime that came forward. So it is a she. Hmm. Okay, there's more than one lifetime coming forward because, like many of us, you have done this in more than one lifetime. It's a big lesson. There's a very multifaceted lesson. And so the main lifetime that I'm seeing come forward, you're a woman. Um, I see her as very blonde. She's got this blue dress on. Um, and it's almost kind of like uh kind of sheep herder-y-ish kind of like she's got a bonnet on and different things like that. um yeah, and she's got the shepherding cane, different things like that too. So she's saying and I can't quite make it all out, but it's something about a mother and her scorn. Let me look that. Let me see if anything comes up. Hmm. I'm just glancing through this to see if anything stands out. Oh, there's a song. Maybe, okay, that might be a thing. So basically what was coming forward is a few like movies and shows and things. But the idea too that, that one doesn't really feel like it resonates. But there's a song called Mother's Scorn. It's a song by the band Shovels and Rope, and it was released in 2008. The album is also called Shovels and Rope. Um, oh, it's also a soundtrack for the film The Drover's Wife, The Legend of Molly Johnson. So there might be something in that for you. Can I get the lyrics? Yes, I can. Oh, no, not that one. Mm, oh, I guess I could have paused. I'm sorry. Oh, damn. Okay. It gets quite graphic in a self-harm way. Just wanted to let you know. Oh, there's so many freaking ads. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's quite graphic. Just so you know, in case that's something that you don't want to expose yourself to, I understand. But if you do want to listen to it, there may be a message in there for you. I'm not getting um big time clarity on that. It may just be like one of those like side things. It's like, hey, this could be helpful, but it's not the main part here. So, but it might also help you in understanding this lifetime because she's very upset. Um, like very rage-filled, vengeful in ways, which is reflective of some of what I was seeing as I was looking up that stuff. Um, yeah, she's very angry. Sorry, she she is spunky, and so she's kind of she's playing with the what's it called, the shepherd's hook that she has as a bit of a, I don't know if she would call it a weapon, but she's like kind of spinning it like, you know how you spin like a staff or something like that. It's kind of like that. Um, Very interesting. The other lifetimes that are coming forward, there is a male presence or a masculine presence that I'm sensing as well. Um, I'm not sure if they're connected in the same lifetime. I don't think they are. Um, because you can live multiple characters, so to speak, multiple different people during similar or same lifetimes, just so that you can get um, multiple sides to the story, multiple angles, for learning purposes and whatnot, or experience purposes is a better way to say that. But the masculine presence, I mean, it does kind of feel related. It feels like they might have been together. I'm not going to say to quote me on that though, because not getting the most clarity on all of that, but it feels like they're connected. So, anywho, the masculine is very provider energy, very protector type energy, and is very much, yeah, okay, it feels like they're a couple, is very much um, wrapped up in misunderstanding, which I find to be hilarious. My own personal reasons over here, so ignore that. But what it feels like is that these two were a couple, and neither of them actually understood the other. They thought they were doing the absolute best that they could for each other in showing up in the ways that they thought the other person needed them to show up, but they didn't communicate. They were expressing the different love languages. They were coming from their own preconceptions, their own perceptions, and they didn't communicate. They didn't connect in a way where they actually heard each other. So you may have experience with this where, you're in a relationship with someone and they keep like I don't know what your love language is, but let's just say for the sake of it, it's quality time and um uh service. So you've got those two, but they just keep showering you with all these gifts that, like, who doesn't appreciate a gift, but at the same time it feels shallow because you're wanting quality time, you're wanting service, and they just keep bombarding you with things. So there's that. And then the other, where, and then, so to say that that was the woman in the lifetime. And for him, he wants intimacy. He wants connection in that way. He's a touch type of love. He wants that. And quality time's good for him too, because those things kind of go hand in hand sometimes. But she was thinking that he wanted service, that he wanted her to do things for him. And so when she would do things for him, um, he wouldn't necessarily be as grateful as she wanted him to be. And then vice versa, when he would give her gifts, she, just wasn't um as grateful as he wanted her to be. And so, you know, um and so like I realized that part of that I could have said the other thing, but the point is that people are usually in relationship giving the thing that they want or that they need because they think that because I need or want this, that someone else is going to need or want this too. And so in how this is coming forward in this dynamic is that there's a lot of resentment on both parts. And the thing is if they had just communicated, if they had just utilized their voice, they just raised their voice, not in an argument way, but in a way of like speaking up, their relationship could have been very different. But they weren't taught how to communicate. They didn't understand that that was the issue. And so, how does that apply in your life? How does that come forward? Excuse me. How does that impact your relationships, your decision making, your how you show up for self and other, um, in your work, like all of the things. Um, I was trying to see if there's anything ancestrally that wanted to come through or from loved ones, and I just started hearing a rhythmic um, chanting of sorts and a pounding, like staves being pounded into the ground or something like that, in rhythm with the chanting. What song is that? It's again about mother, so there must be some like there's some stuff coming in from your feminine side, which is reflective of that broom, so it makes a lot of sense. Um, it's very mother based. It's very like I can't think of what song this is, but I just keep hearing my mother told me, and I can't make out the rest of it. But it's something like that, and it's my mother told me, and I'm not getting clarity on that, but there's something about that. And it's very it feels haunting. It feels more haunting than um a lot of things. And so it feels like there's like this very maternal ache that's coming through, like this. Okay, some of the resentment, I just got some clarity on that. Some of the resentment is about my mother told me that if I did this, this, and this, that everything would be fine, but that was a lie. So it's anger at the imperfections of mother. How does that resonate for you? I'm feeling like there's various witch wounds of sorts coming forward, but it's more than witch wounds. It's even older than that. It's ancient. It's ancient. And the dragons just came in. So that's pretty cool. What are you guys doing here? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's so perfect. So there's a dragon charm, and they're like, we're a charm. Remember? I was like, oh, yeah. So the dragon charm is about deep, ancient healing. Um, they're also bringing forward their fire breath, their transmutation breath, where they can burn away the things that are no longer aligned. And what happens in that instance? Fire transmutes. And so all of the things that the dragon fire is burning away turns to ash. And then what happens with that? The phoenix rises from the ashes, and that new trajectory, that new way forward is embodied, is emerging. And so your dragon charm is also bringing in um, protection, and they're a great companion, of course. But your dragon is in the other salt bath, so really highlighting that rest, relaxation, rejuvenation piece. But it's also in the falling leaves, and the falling leaves are about things that are falling away. We are in the perfect season, autumn, for that representation, and this just brings forward the magnificence, the healing, the power of trees, and just their beautiful example of what it looks like to let go, let flow. Mhm. All of that. And so, how can you learn from the trees? How can you learn from their leaves being let go of? They're beautiful. I might have a little bit of a hard time letting go such beauty. But if, like, just putting myself in that situation and then communicating that with you, like, personally I could see how that could be difficult. Like, leaves are gorgeous, but the thing is if we're holding on to, this stuff that is, it's in its time to be let go of, we're holding on to decay. We're holding on to a hope, a desire for something to outlive its welcome. And it's not necessarily, I shouldn't even say it that way. That's technically not appropriate because it's not like we desire for it to outlive its welcome. Well, let me say it this way. We desire for the thing to stay, and we don't want to let go of what was experienced, even though it's time for something else to flow in. And so in this, we're holding on to this stuff, hoping that it'll somehow come back to us, even though it's been done, been gone, and just holding on to it has been clogging your energy, those sticky webs. And in doing so, you're blocking your receptivity. There's this inability to receive because there's so much being held on to. And so in this space, what this reading is bringing forward a lot of is letting that stuff go and decluttering, because when you declutter, it's going to allow space for those things to actually come in. And this is the perfect time of year for that to be something that you focus on, a part of your experience. You may or may not have a lot going on if in your home space, because again, if you're still living the nomadic life, there's only so much space that you have in there. However, I encourage you just to look around and see if there happens to be things that you've been holding on to that, you know, aren't really meant to be there anymore for one reason or another. You know that, more than I ever could. But the thing is the external is a representation of the internal. And so if the external isn't meeting your values, your expectations, things like that, that's something that you can look at and see, okay, how much does XYZ matter to me? And is it appropriate? Is it not appropriate? Is it aligned for me to still be giving my energy to this thing or not? That's really what's coming forward here, in many ways. And so the dragons, sorry, I started to see something and then I wanted to make sure how to phrase it moving forward. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was seeing something and I was really confused by it because it didn't make sense to me. And so I just wanted to check, and it took a bit of an evolution for me to get all of it. So, so what I was seeing is initially what I was seeing is the dragons burning up the falling leaves, like the symbol. And I was like, okay, but that literally isn't necessarily something we want because the leaves are bringing in rebirth, they're a part of the rebirth cycle. And so we want to make sure that, the leaves get to be where they need to be. Um, but as it was flowing, the leaves became what they were actually meant to represent, which is the decay, the things that are ready to fall away. I rhymed. Anyway, so these lifetimes, okay, actually, yeah, before we do that, they want me to bring in the rest of the charms before we do like the releasing thing. So there's a heart charm. The heart charm is actually, okay, no, I was wrong. Okay, don't question yourself. Like I just did, because I'm like, no, we got to do the charms before the healing. And they're like, okay, if you want. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? Because I started to talk about it and I was like, no, this doesn't feel right. Okay, so with that being said, uh, take a moment just to lean back in your seat and gently close your eyes and focus on your beautiful breath. Deeply breathing into your lower belly and exhaling out your mouth, letting go of all stress, tension, everything that's not aligned to remain with you. Deeply inhaling for at least like 3 to 4 seconds and then exhaling for 5 to 6 seconds. So the exhale is longer. This mechanically communicates with your body, your heart, and your brain to slow down. So we're going to do one more breath, breathing in love, peace, and clarity. And exhaling stress, tension, and the falling leaves. Sense, feel, imagine you're in this deserty kind of space. There's no buildings, no one around. It's just you and the elements, you and the desert. And you're just sitting there meditating, crisscross applesauce, laying on the ground if you prefer that. Just being one with the nature that's around you. There's little buggies that are crawling around and doing their stuff. There's cacti and, little tumbleweeds and just very deserty, very rocky, bit of sand. It's very warm. You can feel the heat. Feels good. It's a very dry heat. Best kind of heat. Well, as far as humidity goes, but anyway. Just being really present with that, feeling the warmth, the sun on your skin. Just breathing deeply into this space. Sense, feel, imagine there's this butterfly in front of you. And they're just, you know, freely flying, floating around, just kind of hopping between different rocks, different pieces of life. Might be a little flower or two here or there. They're very in the moment, just being, just allowing. They're a great example what just living freely can be like. Just focusing on the breath. Hmm. A dragon comes forward, and they're just flying above you. They gently land near you. They're red, at least the one that I see. You might see them differently. It's the beauty of perception. As they again gently land, they start kind of walking toward you a little bit, and they kind of nudge you a little bit with their snout, with their nose. And they kind of like tilt their head so that you get the hint to climb on their back. And the butterfly joins you. Just sits there on the dragon's back right in front of you. They might waddle up to the front so that they can be on the dragon's head. And the dragon starts to lift you above the ground and just take you into the sky. Flying through the clouds, just not many clouds, of course, being in the desert, but there are some. And you just put your fingers through the clouds and just feeling the slight moistness, slight um, dampness, if that word feels better for you, of the cloud. And in fact, the butterfly comes down towards you, and you kind of cup your hands in one of the clouds, accumulating some of the water, and then you put your hands out in front of the butterfly so they can get some water from your hands. And they're just sitting on your finger and slowly sipping away at a couple of the water droplets that are in your hands. And then as they're doing that, you're just looking up and around you, noticing and just being again free and present, feeling the air through your hair, feeling the warmth of the sun, of the dragon, feeling the absolute sweetness of that butterfly in your hands, the gentleness that it brings forward. Just being present to that. And then dragon descends back into the desert. And you, as they land, you slide off of the dragon, thank them for the ride. They're still gonna hang out with you here. It's just a moment of freedom that was wanting to be explored, and how sweet it was of you to nurture that butterfly in the way that you did, in a very just letting go, letting yourself be present fashion. There's something to be said about nurturing not only the self, but others. And sometimes we really don't get the nurturing that we needed in the moment. Sometimes when we're in very traumatic experiences, it's not so much about what happened, but about the support that we didn't have when going through said thing. And a lot of times we don't really know how to communicate our needs. It's not something that we're generally taught. And it can be difficult to do so in a way that the other person will actually hear you and understand. And so, with all of this nurturing um, energy that's coming forward, we want to hold space, not only for ourselves, but for all of the feminine line, all of the masculine line that did or really didn't receive the nurturing that they needed. And this includes you. Do you put your hand in the clouds and water yourself? do you offer that for other people that are in your sphere, so to speak, to connect with you in that way? Is there a stickiness in your web of connection that creates hesitation or second guessing on whether or not someone will fully receive what you're offering them? Is there fear around that? Or better words might be vulnerability, of a desire to not experience the disappointment that may come if someone doesn't fully appreciate what you've been giving them, at least not to your standard of appreciation. And it's important to understand the self and where your intentions of those things lie. And so these past lives that were coming forward, these ancestors and loved ones that were coming forward, so much of the issues that were experienced that ended up creating these fractals of self that got stuck in these timelines and these spaces. They wouldn't be there, at least not in the same way, if communication had been had, if someone had risen their voice. And so the dragons are bringing forward a groundedness within that voice raising, within the nurturing of self. And then also bringing in their deep ancient healing to assist the movement forward from that decay, becoming and transmuting into the ashes that the phoenix rises from, to move forward in a way that does support, that does feel good, that does nurture, that does fulfill your needs and help you even communicate what those needs are, not only to other, but to yourself. In all of this is coming the intention of your values, the deepening of that connection of self to self, the knowing thyself. And so around you and around this butterfly of transformation, it's the dragons are bringing forward a burning ring of fire. And so around you, they breathe this fire circle. And as it becomes complete, a vortex starts to build around you. This vortex is it's around you and moving upward, and then it's also below you. And Mother Nature, Mama Gaia, is assisting that with her own power, her own magical wonder. And she's anchoring and rooting you into that vortex of transmutation. And so for now, the vortexes are moving in a clockwise direction so that we can clear everything that's ready to be moved. We can clear that decay. We can pull that decay out in a very gentle way And again, vortex it up so that it is no longer a part of your being, a part of your energy. And so there's a little bit of light language that's coming through. Koya la kachin de la katindina, katatoroshandia la katara, kati atatashindia, o koya shindila katia, data katania la kachin, o andia la, shindira kiti, katatatakachin la katira, katatatatatatatatatatatatatatatai. Oh, ala shindia, koya shindi kiti, atatila shindia. Un poem dia shandi ti tian de tien tian 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 koya la kati shan o bian hoik xian di tian yo shandi ki to shandi a pai tai o koyan di shindi dia shandi a kati and ya chan kata to shandi la kati ti la kata ta. Deep breath. Sense, feel, imagine you have a moss agate, either tower or double terminated, beautiful piece that is anchored into your left hand. And it's assisting you in pulling the things out that are no longer aligned to remain. Some of these things might be moving through your body, but some of them don't need to be moving through your body. They can just be let go. Because we don't want anything to get stuck in any of those webs. So we're just gonna bypass the webs. O shindi back ni ala kantua ko shindi titia pakadana ko chian boy anana shindi akala. Ho ko chian do shindi bian la nian mo kantian shindi kinakato shindi amana. Kian shindi tia kanto shindi nalakatian tatata. Hushindi kianana miana kitiala koto. Hoshindi amanani anakoyala shindi ando ayashindi ayano ayashando kiondo leanti shindo kai shindi anana kiando tianbakai. Taking some deep breaths, letting go. Toto. Sensing, feeling, imagining that everything that is ready to be moved out is completing. Sense, feel, imagine that there is a clear quartz golden healer bowl that has a labradorite sphere circling in it that is helping you to clear out the gunk, really moving the rest out of everything and anything that's ready to go. Tuoyandia kashandrira katiamana nana kindra shandrira katera kashandra koto totorokoto chandra katiana nana shandriki tiatiando shandiakai. Hoyandi shandaya tiana katai. Gently tugging in a few things. Kondoro kishiandaye tiambakaya shandokoi. Taking some deep breaths. The release feels complete. And so the vortex gently stop circulating and all of the things gently flow so that they fall into the fire circle that's around you. Sense, feel, imagine, pay attention to what it feels like as these things are falling into the fire of transmutation. Feel the release, feel the letting go. Your other lifetimes are a part of this with you. They are also letting go. They are also releasing. You may sense, feel, imagine them in the circle with you. Or light language. Deep breath. Just paying attention to the feelings, the sensations, whatever it is that's coming forward as you are releasing, as these things are burning. Notice that you may see things either in the fire, in the smoke. These could be messages for you from ancestors. Some of them are saying thank you because these things that have become decay were very ready to leave. They were very ready to be done. It's just you weren't quite ready to let them go. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I don't want you to blame yourself in any way, shape, or form, and no one wants you to. The thing is, it's important to recognize that these things were done. They are grateful for you letting them go. They're grateful for you showing up for yourself enough to be able to let them go. And how powerful is that? They are thanking you for setting them free. And while some of this may feel like you were taking on burdens for others in doing their work for them, it's important to remember that we're all one and we in one life don't have the capacity to clear everything. And so while it wasn't exactly your responsibility, these were other lifetimes that you lived, and you have the power to multidimensionally clear these things so that they stop impacting your life. Because if they, like I said, they in and of themselves in these other lifetimes were not your responsibility. However, you have connections to them in this lifetime, which in ways makes that your responsibility. And in you healing yourself, you heal not only yourself, but you heal multidimensionally, which is also inclusive of these other lifetimes, of these ancestral connections, of these soul lineages, of the masculine and feminine lineages, of everything that is. And how freaking amazing is that? And so, as the rest of those things are burning up, many of them are sending you love, can send love back, thanking them for the lessons. The other lifetimes have definitely eased up in their intensity. The woman, especially, she seems to just be kind of crawled up on the desert floor and weeping a bit. It feels like it's from relief, though. It's not from pain, it's from relief. She's let go of the resentment. She's no longer holding on to all of the things that were inundating her. And then the same thing with the masculine. He's actually on the ground with her, holding her. And she's supporting him and holding him in her way too, but it's just a very sweet scene. It's like they finally have started to hear each other a little bit. The session brought them clarity, brought them understanding, brought your relationships moving forward this new, I should say, remembered light, this remembered way of being in togetherness. And it's really potent, really powerful. And so everything has burnt up now, and another vortex has started to be created, but it's going counterclockwise. We are closing the energy here with this. As the vortex begins, the ashes start to fly up with the vortex. And as this is happening, the phoenixes that were buried under those ashes start to arise. They start to fly, to flock around, to assist in creating the vortex, assist in moving the energies up and out. Yes, closing this energetic experience, but also opening up many doors into new beginnings, into new remembrances, into even more doors that have keys in the keyhole that are just waiting for you to open them. as this vortex is going around you, you just notice that the ashes also become sparkles. It becomes very magical vortex. And Mama Gaia is grounding all of this, anchoring this into your soul grid. Um, but not only Mama Gaia, your own soul essence. Some light language. Otoria shindi, tiandrokotia, shantai, tetrkotia de amane yakatia. Hayatia shindi, akalayande o. Tia shondo, shiandiando, yan. Kia shiando. Di shiandia koilianda. Deep breath, letting go of anything that's ready to shift through that, and then inviting, anchoring into this new capacity to receive, bringing love into the spaces that were, space was created, bringing love into the space where space was created, anchoring in that love so that only love and beautiful, authentic, birth-written abundance of love, joy, kindness, peace, serenity, tranquility, knowing that you are enough, worthy, whole, complete, and deserving of beautiful things. Anchoring all of this and more. Any other intentions that you have, now is a great time to bring those forward. Just give you a moment for that. There's some light language in that moment. Takaya shindoyati shindiai no koyalai shindiatai. Koitialai shindi kialai to shindi kiti tialakatai tawalakia shindoy atia tia pianak shindiakati. Oto shindi kiti lakatoy shindrokoto telakiti tiriap tetaliak tetrashakati and nirapakatadakati. Tokoe shindokoe shindiki anakatai shindo to toro to shindoiki oki opti underscoto drakachindarakatia. Deep breath. Anchoring, anchoring, anchoring. Clearing, clearing, clearing. In this, know that a lot of those webs were cleared as well. All of the webs that were in the space to be cleared were cleared. And so you have more energetic flow internally as well, and your cellular structure has been upgraded to remember this, as has various parts of your DNA. Some of them online, some of them not, but this is upgrading some of the dormant ones so that when you do activate them, they will come from this space. Akashindia katatara katitian shindriata poinetian to kotorok shintia kokosh kochindira katai katata takatata takachindira katoto koshindiaka. Deep breath. Taking a moment to just be one with that vortex. If you'd like to take a moment to connect with the other lifetimes more intentionally in this circle, now would be a great time to do that. They have stopped kind of crying on the ground, and she's kind of wiping away her tears a bit. She's standing, and they're holding hands. Their arms are around each other, and it's just It's just really beautiful because they weren't really able to do that in the life that they lived together, even though there was very much love there. And there's some other lifetimes, but I'm not getting a lot of clarity on them. There is one that's a child, or at least one that's a child. And the woman and man are there to help that child as well so that they won't be alone. If you'd like to hug them or anything, you're more than welcome. And you can thank them, they can thank you for showing up, for doing the hard thing and being present, holding space together for healing. Mm. And they do, they thank you very much. They're very, very grateful. Like she starts tearing up because of how grateful she is, and so does he. They can see each other in a whole new way now. It's really powerful. And the little kiddo is just happy to not be alone anymore. Just taking a few moments, thanking dragons, the phoenix is Phoeni, the masters, teachers, and loved ones, your other lifetimes, your ancestors, loved ones, every being, every aspect. And the butterfly is still in there with you too. The butterfly is actually, well, I mean, of course it's you because oneness, but it's actually another lifetime that you lived. The butterfly is you. And the butterfly is so thankful that you chose to nurture yourself in another lifetime without even knowing that it was you. And the butterfly's message here is sharing the importance of coming from that space of love, from that space of nurturing, and just remembering that we're all one. Remembering that anything that you do or say to yourself or to other is reflective of the opposite and impacts the opposite. And so anything you do or say to yourself impacts the collective and vice versa. And remembering the importance of coming from love. With other, that tends to not be as difficult as it is for the self. But love, grace, compassion are absolutely the steps forward, without a doubt. So thanking all of the parts all of the beings that were here to assist and be a part of this. Thanking yourself for showing up so beautifully. And as you are all wrapping up, saying your goodbyes, the other lifetimes step backwards into the vortex and they are whisked away into the cosmos so that they can reconnect with other loved ones as well. As they do that, the butterfly gives you a cute little peck on the cheek and they flow into the vortex as well. And they're safe. It's a gentle vortex for them. So taking a few moments as the vortex calms down. You look around you. There's no remnants of what happened other than the dragon still there. So, this dragon is one of your companions. You may or may not have had previous experiences with them, but they are here to be with you now. And they will come forward anytime that you call upon them. So, you are free to explore more with them. They would love to. Taking a few moments to wiggle your fingers and your toes, coming back into your physicality, bringing presence back to the now. Slowly, maybe rubbing your body if that feels good, gently tilting your head down towards your chest so that you can see your body as you come back into the now. I hope that that was enjoyable, and I hope that you felt a lot of support through that because there were a lot of parts that came together. Sending you so much love. And it might be a good idea to jot down, your experience of that, of what transpired. Um, and so feel free to, pause. But a few things that I would say to definitely or could be beneficial to make note of is how you felt during that, especially both of the different vortexes. What it felt like to let all of that go, what it felt like to experience the burning up of those things, the transmutation of those things, and them thanking you for letting them go. Um, and then also, what it was like to see, sense, feel, imagine the ashes becoming the phoenix and rising and all that good stuff. Um, Also, the butterfly and the butterfly's message that felt important, as well as what the couple was communicating with their words, but also with the energetics of everything. Um, yeah, just really being present for all of that and just making some notes. And so, like I said, if you want to pause right now, it'd be a good time. Just so you don't forget anything. Apologies, I need to take the dog out, so. Um, so as we or where we were. So I was going to start bringing in the last two charms. Um, if you need a moment after the healing, then by all means, there's nothing wrong in pausing. I know you may have taken the time to journal, but just in case. So the heart charm is all about love wanting to be experienced in this space. And let me just double check that they didn't move or anything. Okay, good. Yeah, I thought so. I just want to double check. So your heart charm is in two spaces. It's in the tree, which is bringing forward healing, nature, and um, adventure, and the broom that is moving toward the right or the future or what you're moving into, um, the masculine, letting go, uh, giving. So all of these things are bringing forward this desire for love to be in those things. And so how in your life can you allow more love in? Now you've just created a lot more space and invited love to occupy that space. And so great start. um, but what are some ways that you can show up for yourself or other people or beings and whatnot that are more inclusive of bringing more love in, of allowing that to be the forefront instead of whatever was, whether that be like self-doubt or um, judgment. There's lots of things that we bring in that we may or may not realize. And so just an awareness around that is really wanting to come forward. Um, And you can even make a list, like the Guardians are referencing that it may be beneficial that there's some sort of list that's created that is all about you, um, all about you, but all about ways that you can show up for yourself in a different way. And I'm being reminded of the rest, relaxation, rejuvenation, and how both the dragon and the pentacle were in that. And even though the charms aren't connected, there's love wanting to be experienced in that space as well. Because all the charms, they themselves are kind of connected. It's so sometimes I see a different charm and I'm bringing in that the messages that were affiliated with that into whatever it was that's coming forward too. Just because everything's connected, but it's about what messages are wanting to come through in that way. Excuse me. And so the other charm, the last charm, hi, honey, then my Nova or my dog Nova just came up here. So she's sniffing all the oracle cards. Yeah, I'm tattling on you. Anyway, the magic wand is the last one. When I first initially was channeling it, it also came forward as a fairy wand. So if any of that stands out to you more, let that be. Your wand is mostly in the tree, which is again healing, adventure, and nature. But it's also in the broom that is got or headed toward the right, and it's in the other wolf that's howling at the moon. And so the magic wand is all about magic, bippity boppity boop. But also, what was the other thing that I chose? Wave your magic wand and boop. So lots of booping, but um, it's about the mystical magical. It's inviting the inner child to come forward to assist you in bringing more joy into your life, more fun, more play, more pleasure. Um, and whatever that means for you, whether that's intimacy, whether that is just feeling more presence within your life in nature and in like creation, maybe whether it's like art of some form or dance or, there's an infinite amount of things. And it's just about you bringing the mystical magical to your life and not restraining your voice anymore, not containing, like breaking those shackles and just flowing, allowing that to be, allowing that to flow, but allowing that to be your new normal. And how does that feel to incorporate that as your new normal? Now, this is why this wanted to come after the healing, because this is your path forward. It's highlighting your path forward and some of your intentions and how it would best serve you to do that. And so inviting your inner child to come forward to have the voice that you didn't have when you were going through the experiences that you did as a kiddo. Um, Allowing your inner child to raise their voice and you hear them in that reparenting idea and bringing to life the things that you wanted to experience as a kid. So revisiting clearing something in the throat because that wasn't mine. But bringing magic and light to your inner child to have them help you um, help them. It's a very two-way street, and it's an overlapping two-way street. And so, really shining a light on all of that, and how can you support yourself through inviting your inner child forward so much more. Um, One of the things that I always like to say, well, not always, but I like to say when this comes forward is, I could go into it, but I've done a lot of inner body work over the last few years. Um, few years, it's more than that now, but anyway, and all of the inner bodies, excuse me, are amazing. They all have beautiful gifts, beautiful, beautiful everything. And the inner child has been the one that I've gotten the most insight from, that is most connected to my heart, my soul, that really helps me to inner under and understand myself because if you think about it, like your subconscious was built, created when you were very young, especially the first like 7 or so years of life. And so, because that's before the prefrontal cortex starts like developing, and when that happens, we start to gain our critical thinking, and we no longer are just acting as a sponge that's absorbing everything and just taking everything as if it is. That's when we start questioning things, when things come forward in a way that it's conf contradictory and conflicting with different things that we grew up thinking was like the whole truth, and that's it. Um, and so going back to those aspects of self that were literally the part of us that created the subconscious, that created these ways of being, ways of perceiving, ways of thinking of ourselves and our self-concepts, really, again, creating the perception from which we see the world. And I'm not saying that you are actively still very much involved in a lot of that, but the thing is it's still indicative of where you're coming from in lots of ways, because it's just a part of how you created yourself, how you were created, how you were formed, and some of that being us, but a lot of that being projection. And so just being present to all of that and what that means for you and how that shows up and how that reflects your intentional values and intentional um, belief systems, things like that. So, reflecting on your self-concept and what feels right and good for you, and not allowing yourself to give into things that don't. And there's nothing wrong with that if you have a really aligned intention and you're keeping your boundaries up. But if we keep saying yes when we mean to say no, or no when we mean to say yes, and it gets kind of muddy. So that's a whole other thing to get into, but this is where your magic is in the healing, innate healing of nature, adventure with your inner child, bringing the love into all of this and healing through that. Sometimes, and these Akashic charm readings were kind of meant to be an example that deep healing, deep transformation doesn't just have to be heavy, hard work. It can be fun, it can be lighter. And while, yes, we went into some deep stuff here for sure, there's still a levity about it. There's still that childlike wonder that's coming through. And there was real resolution for you in some of these lifetimes that were coming forward. And so that's really powerful. Sometimes in these sessions, the resolution isn't the important piece, and so it doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. So, um, yeah, it just depends on the reason why those things were coming forward. So anyway, though, yeah, I'm not really getting, is there anything else with that? The dragonfly? I did see that kind of spark up a little bit. The, okay, what I was just shown is the dragonfly wings are a lot more freer in the web. Like before, they were pretty constricted. They weren't able to really fly much, but now they can kind of fly in between the webbings. And there's still some stuff there, don't get me wrong, because it wasn't the intention to fully clear stuff like that. It was more about knowing and understanding parts. But yeah, and remembering that the kitty cat, the energy of the kitty cat spiritual or spirit animal wants to assist you, wants to help guide you in growing. I keep hearing clairvoyance, but it's more than clairvoyance. It's your connection as a whole. It's your connection to your own healing powers and capabilities. And also kind of like a little bit of a I'm not being told necessarily where this is going to be put, so to speak, but there's that air of like, I don't give a fuck about some things that may benefit you, and the kitty cats can help you with that. So, um, yeah, and then I just got confirmation that some doors would be open through that. So, um, this may or may not resonate with you, but I was told by a friend that you may know. I don't know. But anyway, it's a mantra that she does, and it's I don't give a fuck. Like 108 times, like a normal mantra. Um, but I'm not gonna lie, it's been really interesting and it's brought up quite a bit. And then it's also brought forward opportunities for me to prove that I don't give a fuck. So know that that's the thing. But I recommend it. It's really interesting because if for those of us that overcare in some ways, it can help balance that and come to a bit of a neutrality piece. And so we stop taking responsibility for things that are not ours. So, on that note, I hope that you enjoyed your session. I hope you were able to get stuff out of it, and I hope that it resonated. Um, yeah. These sessions turned into so much more than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be like a 45-minute thing when I first started it, but nope. Which is great. I'm glad that they became so much more. And it's really, really powerful, really potent, and just awesome. Um, and so like with that, like the special was so undercharged. It's not even funny, but it's all good. It's a part of it. So it's a part of the evolution of it. So this foundation of this special with this offer, I just really appreciate any and all feedback. And if you did enjoy the session, I would so love and appreciate a testimonial for written on my Facebook page, Angel Light Energy. If you go on my page, you scroll just a smidge, there's the space for reviews, the little tab there. And you can just fill that out. That'd be amazing. And if you wouldn't mind, I would so love and appreciate if you would copy and paste it and also put it in Amy's group or my group, Divine Healing with Angel Light Energy. I think you're there, aren't you? Um, I feel like you are. But if not, you are more than welcome to join. I would love to have you in there. Um, so yeah, give yourself lots of grace, compassion, and love. Getting some good water, some good structured water, which is like fruits and stuff, if you're able to eat them. I know some people have issues with that, so just depends on you and your digestive system and everything. But that's some great protein to help as you have moved a lot of energy here. And remember, the dragon's here to be with you as well. So they can help you with your integration too. And I'm setting the intention that your integration is very gentle. Um, Nothing too insane or anything like that. It'll take, I'm seeing between 7 to 21 days, depending. And the thing is too, like this reading can serve you from not only now, like I was saying in the beginning, like these readings can help you for potentially years. It's um tapping into them as you raise in consciousness and allowing the words to and the energies to serve you in more ways. And so if it ever comes forward where it suddenly pops in your head and it might be a good idea to rewatch it, um, or it's bringing up something to reference it in some way, shape, or form. So it's here to serve you. And so you get lifetime access. Someone asked me about that recently, so I figured I should probably start saying it. Yeah, as long as YouTube is a thing, you'll have this. So, and I'm also working on a website, whole thing, and eventually we'll switch to having them on there. But until then. So, is there anything else? I don't think so. All right. Well, on that note, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, giving yourself a lot of gentle grace and everything. And I'm sending you all the love. Hope you have a great day.